Back in 2011, Bethesda was on top of the gaming industry. They had made The Elder Scrolls V, they have Skyrim, which absolutely changed open-world RPGs.
Dragonborn! Good job!
It's 2024, and Bethesda has seen flop after flop. Fallout 4 was alright, Fallout 76 was an absolute buggy mess, and Starfield? Well, how did this happen? Well, to know, we have to go back to the very beginning. Bethesda was created in 1886 by a few ambitious and talented developers and started its life making Terminator games. Bethesda got its first big break with the Elder Scrolls Arena in 1994. The idea of Elder Scrolls was made from the appreciation that a few members of the company had for RPGs that existed at the time. But Bethesda really struck gold with Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, which went to a full open world with thousands of NPCs and locations, and still one of the biggest maps in a video game to date. In 1997, Bethesda made Battlespire, and in 1988 made Redguard, which are both games in the Elder Scrolls world, but were failures. You see, Battlespire was a closed-in dungeon crawler, and Redguard was basically a Tomb Raider-like game. And it turns out closed-in dungeon crawlers and Tomb Raider-like games weren't what people want from Elder Scrolls. They wanted a big adventure, just like Daggerfall. It's 2002, and Bethesda has spent many years developing Elder Scrolls Morrowind. And for the game, they swapped the game engines to Gamebryo, and Morrowind sent its released in 2002. Morrowind was exactly what people wanted, an evolution from Daggerfall with twice the freedom of Daggerfall, which was absolutely insane at the time. It was mind-blowing that a game had so much freedom, just like Dungeons and Dragons. And it also sold 4 million copies by 2005. But there were still some problems with Elder Scrolls Morrowind, with some bugs and glitches and people saying that you need top-tier hardware to play properly. But Elder Scrolls Morrowind was good nonetheless. Todd Howard is infamous for his many lies across the history of Bethesda. It began in Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, where Todd Howard showed the Radiant AI saying that NPCs were not scripted.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch! I'm confiscating your stolen goods. Now pay your fine, or it's off to jail. Then pay with your blood! You should have paid the fine!
Stay away!
What's the matter? Get here!
All of this just works.
But it turns out that when Elder Scrolls IV dropped, the AI wasn't really that smart. Elder Scrolls IV still did well because in the first 20 days it sold 2 million copies, but the game was also still pretty good if you don't count the NPC AI. But what was so stupid, they sold Horse Armor DLC for $2.50 as a DLC. And it didn't even protect the horse, it just made it look cooler. And I'm 99% sure this is where Fortnite got the idea of paid skins. Bethesda didn't just want to make Elder Scrolls games for the rest of the company's lifespan. They wanted to have a new franchise, a new thing to work on. And that's when in 2007, they bought the Fallout franchise from Interplay Studios and started developing Fallout. Fallout was was eventually released in 2008, and it was
They
one
read
of
the
the
good book
greatest
from Friday Monday.
We're skipping
Back of the weekend. I've got a dream of
something
a
to show
building
made
with
mistakes.
tickets
It also had many
and
glitches and bugs, and
I feel so
there seemed to be
well each
that
time that I
these Bethesda games
tap my happy
it's
heart,
gotta be.
laughing like
In 2011, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was released to massive acclaim to critics and users alike for its big and interesting open-world RPG. But the bugs and glitches remained. And I mean a ton of glitches for people for would kind of like but people would kind of like forget about it since it was big open world RPG like not like any other games at the time and would continue to sell and sell until 62 million copies by 2023. Also, just look at the amount of glitches on Skyrim. In 2018, June 10th, Todd Howard is at E3 and announced his Fallout 76, an open world RPG, but with multiplayer. It was releasing in a few months. The hype was absolutely monumental for this game. You all know, you all know how this game was absolute shit. But why? There's actually a few reasons. The game had a pretty short development cycle of 3 years compared to other Bethesda games. Bethesda was trying to go for no NPCs, but NPCs are what make a good story. And that being said, the story was also boring. And lastly, the engine in the game was running on was older than Shrek. And also, this was the first multiplayer game made by Bethesda, so yeah. But I feel like with all these Bethesda games, it all leads back to one thing, which is the engine Bethesda has been using to make games. It is a very old engine, and like I said, it was made around 1997. And I feel like all the complaints were just they all lead back to the engine because the oldness and clunkiness of all the games. And the engine is old, so that is probably the reason why Bethesda has kind of fallen off.